सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। Almost you all have some idea about meditation and yoga, those who are present here. Now this Hamsa meditation is the foundation course for Kriya Yoga meditation. Not only for Kriya Yoga meditation, if you look into all the spiritual traditions in India, Hindu traditions, Buddhist traditions, Jain traditions, all the traditions, be it Kriya Yoga or any other name, even those who are following the devotional practices in the Santha Parampara, this is a basic technique to all. You go to any ashram in Kriya Yoga or any ashram following any Santha Parampara or other yoga traditions, you will find this meditation. This is the very fundamental practice to all. You know what this is? Why this is so popular and so important? You look into scriptures, you will find ample discussion about this technique in Upanishads. Be it Dhyanabindu Upanishad or Yoga Chudamani Upanishad or yogic scriptures like Goraksha Samhita, Gheranda Samhita, everywhere, even in Tantra scriptures, you find this. Names are different, practice is same. Some say this is Ajapa Japa. They may not say the Hamsa meditation, they will say Ajapa Japa. Japa means repetition of a syllable, a repetition of one mantra. Say for example, Om Namo Shivaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, or any mantra, Gayatri mantra, or Mahamrityunjay mantra. You repeat. You take a rosary and then go on repeating. That is called a japa. Repetition of a mantra or syllable. When we say ajapa, ajapa means a repetition which you cannot do. No japa. No japa, apjapa. That means you can't do. You don't do that. It is automatically going on in you. That means you don't do anything extra. The syllabi, the japa is there inside you. It is going on inside you all the time. Whether you are aware or not, whether you are awake or sleeping, whatever state it may be, or meditating, it is going on. What is going on always within you? That is called ajapa. 24 hours a day, what is going on within you? Maybe you are thinking something, but in deep sleep you don't think. You are doing something. Any physical or any mental activity at least will cease when you are in deep sleep. But that does not cease. That is your breath. Your breath is going 24 hours a day. So always it is going on. You don't have to repeat your breath. Do the japa of your breath because it is spontaneous. It is automatic. And when you make that a japa, means you are aware of that. Then that becomes ajapa japa. You may go to some other monastery, they will teach the same in the name Ajapa Gayatri. Meaning same. Gayatri is the very popular mantra, people repeat. So this is a Gayatri which you don't repeat, but it is going on. They say Ajapa Gayatri. You may go to some other monastery, they will teach the same. They will say Soham Japa. Other will say Hamsa Japa. Someone else will say Prana Pana Smriti. Prana Apan. Prana Pana. Smriti means awareness. Awareness of exhalation and inhalation. Prana Pana Smriti. You may go to some other monastery, they will teach the same, but they will give another name. Prana Vikshana. Vikshana means to see in a special way. To see your vital energy, your breath, prana in a special way. They give the name Prana Vikshana. You go to Buddhist traditions, they will say Anapanasati. The same, Pranapana Smriti is Sanskrit name, this is a Pali name. So in different traditions, people do the same. But names are different, but this is very fundamental practice. And in Kriya Yoga, we say Hamsa Sadhana. What is the meaning of Hamsa? Normally, when we say in Sanskrit Hamsa, we mean a bird swan. Swan has given the status of a divine bird. In Hindu traditions, we have the god of creation, Brahma. He is sitting on a swan. So Lord of creation is sitting on a swan. That means if you can sit on a swan, you have the ability to create. Goddess Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, sitting on a swan. That means goddess of knowledge has a vehicle named swan, Hamsa. That means if you sit on Hamsa, you can have knowledge. This bird is a imagery. It is symbolic of something. Let us see meaning of Hamsa. What is the meaning of Hamsa? Hamsa word comes from the root dhatu in Sanskrit called Hantva. Hantva means to kill. What to kill here? To kill the ignorance. So Hamsa sadhana is a practice to kill the ignorance. If you practice this, then you have the knowledge, because that is the vehicle for the goddess of knowledge. If you practice this, you have power to create. A lot of creation is seated on a Hamsa. And for that you need to kill the ignorance. Since this practice helps us finally to remove our ignorance, that has been called Hamsa. Another meaning of Hamsa is one that moves. What is moving within our body? I can move my hand, I can move my leg, my eyes are moving, everything, body is shaking, moving. But why? Due to prana. Inhalation is moving, exhalation is moving, prana and apana are moving, vyana is moving, samana is moving, udana moves, I will go. All my activities is due to movement of prana. That is why prana is called Hangsa. In Sanskrit syllabi, Hong represents Shiva, the Supreme Lord, Supreme Father. And Sa represents Shakti, the energy of Shiva. So this is both Shiva Shakti combined. That means Hangsa means the first God, Hiranyagarbha. When Shiva and Shakti combined to form the creation.
Swami, do you mind my saying, if anyone has difficulty understanding, please don't hesitate to ask. Swami, could you repeat that? Or Sam or I or Bobby could maybe help as well. So please don't feel shy about that. We've had the blessing of 5 months practice. So I just want to say that.
Home is Shiva, but the problem is that Shiva within us has become no Shiva. Aham. Na ham aham. Means no Shiva. We are derailed from our path. We have fallen from our position. Though we all are Shiva, Shiva means consciousness. Shiva means knowledge. Shiva means truth principle. Shiva means vastness. Shiva means bliss. Are we all experiencing the same? Are we all in this consciousness of the same? No. Then we have become no Shiva. Aham. Aham means ego. Means our identity is contracted from pure consciousness to individual consciousness. This individual consciousness is limited to this body-mind interaction. Named Swamiji, named Sam, named Angelo. Though we are consciousness, though we are vastness, though we are bliss principle, we have identified ourselves with this body. That is called ego, no Shiva. So Ham has become Aham. That is the problem of our suffering, nothing else. Because we don't know what we are. We find ourselves with this body, then we are subjected to the qualities of the body. Qualities of the body means birth, growth, changes, decay, diseases, old age, death. Instead of becoming consciousness, I have identified myself with body, then I suffer what body has to suffer. I am little more intellectual person. I understand, no, I am not this body. Then I confine myself with mind, intellect, ego, subconsciousness, different moods of mind, different activities of mind. Then I suffer from anger, suffer from desires, suffer from frustration, suffer from depression. All those are the qualities of the mind. That is not my own quality. That is my problem. So this is ignorance. Means forgetting my own identity is ignorance. Being Shiva, I have become Jiva. From Shiva, I have become Jiva. From absolute consciousness, I have become individual soul, individual consciousness. That is Jiva. Now, that I have become from Shiva to Jiva, from total unconditioned being to a conditioned being. That is my ignorance. Now, what is the result of this ignorance? When I have ignorance, what will be the result? I find myself confined to this body-mind entity. The next thing is desire. Now I am an individual being. Now I have desire. I want this. I do not want this. I want to achieve this. I want to become something. I want to have this enjoyment. I want to have that enjoyment. Then desires will lead to action. I want this, I will work for that. Then either I will succeed or I will fail, giving me pain and pleasure. Then this work will create an impression within me, sanskara. That will give rise to further desire, further work. So I am in this cycle, going on. Life after life, sufferings after sufferings. So for that I need to remove the ignorance. Means I need knowledge. I need knowledge. Then how I will achieve that knowledge? That is the question. Remove the ignorance. So that is the problem. Means I have to have my identity. So to have my own identity, I have to find out what is my present status and why I am not having my true identity. I am not having my true identity because, in the words of Rishi Patanjali, vritti sarupyo mitaratra. When we are not in samadhi, when we are not established in yoga, what is our form? Our form is according to our vritti, means action of our mind, activity of our mind. My mind says I am an Indian, I become an Indian. My mind is vritti, I am American, I am American. My mind's vritti, I am a monk, I am a monk. My mind's vritti, I am a householder, I am a householder. Are these my identities? All our identities, father, son, brother, sister, wife, husband, whatever it may be, professor, doctor, whatever it may be. What is it? It is just an expression of my mind. an impression of my mind. We, in technical terms, we call it vritti. Now, if you don't stop that vritti, don't halt that vritti, I will remain with that identity. I will not get my identity. So to stop that, I have to stop all the vrittis, to halt all the vrittis. And when all the vrittis are halted, I am in yoga. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is halting all the activities, all the attributes of our mind. Mind means mind stop. Mind, intellect, ego, subconsciousness, all their works. But we are always with their works. Then how we will stop them?
Sadhana.
Sadhana, practice. But what practice? Ancient rishis has found, simply they analyzed the life of the human being. They observe that always we are having three states of our life. Awaking state, dream state and deep sleep state. Either we are awake, all my sense organs are working, all my organs of action are working, my physical body is working, but behind the working of all my physical body, sense organs and organs of action is my mind. I see something not due to this eye, but due to my mind. This is just a door. I hear something due to my mind. I walk or I work or I do anything due to my mind. But here my physical body, all my organs and my mind is active. Second state we all experience is called dream state. Eyes are not working, ears not working, nose not working, tongue not working, hand not working, legs not working. Physical body is sleeping. But I can go to any place. I can meet anybody in my dream. In my dream I can have an elephant. In my dream now I can go to India. In my dream now I can go even to heaven and have a tea with the king of the gods. Anything possible in my dream. Then who is working there? Again it is my mind. Even though all my physical organs are sleeping, taking rest. Then the third state we experience is a deep sleep state. In deep sleep state, body is not working, organs are not working, mind is also not working. Mind has also taken a rest. But am I dead? Do I exist or not? I exist. I get up in the morning after deep sleep. Again everything started. Mind started working, organs started working, physical body started working. But I had a feeling that I had a good sleep. That means I was existing during my deep sleep. Then who was awake during the deep sleep? The problematic part that my mind and the vrittis of mind that was not there for that 2 hours of deep sleep in day, where it has gone? Where it has taken rest? It has taken a rest on that thing that was awake. So during deep sleep, who was awake? our prana, life force was awake. If life force has gone, then we could have been declared dead. So life force was awake. So mind must be residing, taking a rest in the life force. Now, the problem that I am not having the knowledge is my vrittis, which is an activity of mind. That is also naturally stopped every day during deep sleep. But since that occurs in tamas, that occurs in sloth, I am not having the knowledge. Now, if I can do that, that state of halting all the activities of my mind that is naturally occurring during the deep sleep state in a state of awake, then I will know what is the state. Then I will know what is my real identity. When all the activities of my mind are stopped, but I am not in deep sleep, not dead, but awake. How to do that? Then the Rishi say, do the same thing. Since mind is merging in prana during deep sleep, you try to practice merging your mind in your prana, remaining awake. So that is the thing that we have to do. That is why Hangsa is called knowledge. Hangsa means prana, is called knowledge. In Shvetasatar Upanishad it is said, Eko Hangso Bhuvana Sasya Madhye Sa Evagni Salile Sannivishta Tvameva Viditva Atimrittumeti Nanya Pantha Vidyate Ayanaya. In this world, Bhuvana, there is one swan, Eka Hangsa, only one Hangsa. What is that Hangsa? So Evagni Salile Sannivishta. That is the fire in the water. How can fire remain in the water? Is there a fire in water or not? There is fire. You can generate fire from the water. You can generate electricity. That is something different from this topic, but that is fire. Fire element is there in the water element. If we look into creation, in air, ether is there. In fire, air and ether is there. In water, ether, air, fire are there. We can create fire out of water. What is water? Hydrogen and oxygen. We can create a fire out of that. But here what the purpose of saying is that that is the fire. Fire means that is the knowledge. Among the cellula, cellula means water in this body. This body is a water body. Because we have life when we have water. Apo vai prana. In Veda it is said, this water is a life force. Without water, life is not possible. 90% of our physical body is water. Here in our planet Earth, life is there because of water. So this body is water body. And with that, Hangsa is the knowledge. Hangsa is fire because that is knowledge. If we have knowledge in that body, that is remaining in the form of Hangsa. Tameva viditva ativrittumeti. By knowing that fire, by knowing that Hangsa, you can cross the death. There is no other route. This is the only route. Nanya pantha vidyate ayinaya. There is no other route. Vedas say there is no other route. No other route than knowledge for your liberation. If you want liberation, you must have knowledge of your identity. You can now say, no, there are various paths. There is path of yoga, there is path of jnana, there is path of karma, there is path of bhakti. And all these paths are said to be the true paths in Vedas also. Then how it is contradictory? That there is no other path, only path. That you know that, then you have liberation. It is not at all contradictory. Whatever path you may follow, if you don't have knowledge, then there is no liberation. Ultimate thing is knowledge. Your devotion must lead to knowledge. Your karma must lead to knowledge. Your yoga must lead to knowledge. Your jnana must lead to knowledge. If you have knowledge of your true identity, who am I? Where from I come? Where do I go? Then your ego is finished. I am not speaking about the intellectual knowledge. Intellectual knowledge we can have by reading philosophies. That most of the people have. Those who have little higher intelligence, they read. They can give hundreds and hours of speech on that. But on a practical point of view, they will fail. Suddenly their ego will come to their front. You have to have that knowledge in your being, in your life. Because in this physical body, which is a water body, in there, that is remaining always there in the form of fire, in the form of knowledge. That we call Hamsa. You have to know that Hamsa. Hamsa means knowledge. And Hamsa means breath. How it is said? I have said. How breath is knowledge. Hamsa is breath, Hamsa is knowledge, and both are same. How? Because by practice of Hamsa means by practice of merging your mind in your breath, by halting all the activities of your mind, you know what is your true form. That is why Hamsa has been said to be knowledge. Then how? How to make that practice? Anyway, it is happening to us every day. 2 hours of deep sleep. Without that, not possible to survive even. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, you don't sleep. Then there is a call, Swamiji, I am suffering from insomnia, can you help me? Or you go to a psychiatrist, or go to some doctor, or something. If you are not achieving that state, even for 3-4 days, you are not able to survive as a normal individual. You will be a psychic patient. So we are having that every day. It is not that we have to achieve something new. That is why it is called ajapa japa. We don't do it. It is going on. It has come up with our birth. It is our birthright. Now what is our birthright? We have to claim our birthright. We have to know that. For that we need this practice. Practice means merging our mind in our breath. That is a technique. We call it Hamsa Sadhana. We call it Anapana Smriti in so many names. We call it Anapanasati. How? Hakarena bahirjati. Sakarena visitpura. Scriptures. With hakara, our breath goes out. Have you silently listened to the sound of your breath when you are exhaling? Nasal extension sound of the sound of exhalation. Hakarena bhirjati. The breath goes out with the sound hakara. Then sakarena visatpuna again comes, enters in with the sakara. So Hamsa Hamsa Temu mantra Jiva Japati Sarvata. This mantra of Hamsa Hamsa, the individual soul, Jiva, is repeating always from birth to death. In one day, in 24 hours, it is repeating 21,600 times. That is calculated. If our normal breath is 15 per minute, what should be normally for a healthy human being? Then we have 21,600 also in a day. But due to our excessive desire, due to anger, due to frustration, due to depression, due to passion, due to overjoy, we increase. Increase means maybe 40 times a minute. Then I am a patient of hypertension. Even for our normal health or normal living, we need to have the normal breath. Now what I have to do as a spiritual practice is to be aware of that. To do that practice. That is going on, then what I will practice? Simply I will concentrate on that. Simply I will be aware of that. Very simple. In Kriya Yoga, we do it in 3 phases. I will show how different from the other systems. You go to some systems, they say, simply you watch your breath. Just watch, as it is. That in scriptures is called Pranapana Smriti. Awareness of inhalation and exhalation. Buddhist people called Anapanasati. In Pali what they say. Awareness of inhalation and exhalation. If you can do that from the beginning, it is good. No problem in that. But what we find, many people are not able to do that. When Vivekananda came to teach here, he found that some people are not able to know whether they are inhaling or exhaling. Then he said, you just hum so. Make your thumb up, make your thumb down. Had anyone been there, any other Indian master, he said, get out. You are not fit for practice. But he was so compassionate. So compassionate. When I first learned this, I first learned what it is. You have to make the thumb up, thumb down, thumb up, thumb down. This sounds something ridiculous to me. Then One day while meditating, the thought came that, yes, these are the people, the audience to whom he was addressing, maybe they are unable to understand whether they are inhaling or exhaling. Their mind is so unrest. And he didn't even discarded them because he was so compassionate. Then he said, okay, you inhale, so make your thumb up, make your thumb down, make your thumb up, make your thumb down. But some people still do that. Why you are doing that? Now we are taught like that. That is why what I am saying, if you can start watching from the beginning, as the Theravada Buddhists teach, or as some people teach as Pranapana Smriti, it is well and good. That means you are in a better state of mental composition to watch your breath, to have the knowledge of your breath. But all people don't. That is why yogic scriptures has given them another step before that. What? To make your breath long but subtle. That means inhale, long, subtle in one rhythm. Practice inhalation and practice inhalation, exhalation as a doer. That means you practice your breath as a doer, karta bhava. As a doer you practice. Making your breath, lengthening your breath, subtle, in one rhythm. Lengthening your inhalation and lengthening your exhalation. That means you are engaged in doing your breath practice and you are no more with your thoughts. Clear? Now, after doing this for a period, you will qualify to observe the breath as going on and coming out. That is the second part. We call it prana vikshana or pranapana smriti. Just observing the breath, watching the breath without manipulating it, without acting on it. As it is going on, keeping your mind always engaged to the breath, knowing how your breath is going in, how your breath is coming out, whether your breath is hot or cold, your breath is short or long, whether it is in long duration or in short duration, whether it is going in a right nostril or left nostril, how the movement of prana is going on within your spine, all these things. That is the second part. Then we come to the third part. When you qualify this for this in a longer period, then automatically your breath will be feeble. You will not have any awareness of your outer breath. Now you will go to your inner breath. Inner breath means your inner prana. Your prana is there in all of your body. Now you follow that prana in the form of vibration, in the form of pulsation at Ajna Chakra. Why Ajna Chakra? I can do anywhere. There are practices people doing anywhere. Theravada Buddhists, they do in the entire body. Some yogis also do in the entire body. They say Vipassana. We say Pranavikshana, Vyanavikshana. Names simply vary, but the technique remains the same. But in this technique it is said to do it here, at Ajna Chakra. Why? Because this is the seat of controlling of our respiration. medulla oblongata controls our respiration. So this is the set of respiration. That is why in yogic scriptures he said, Jagra netra dvair madhye sthito hamsa sadachyuta. Jagra netra means Jagrata netra, the two eyes that is awake. Within the two awakening eyes, in between, that is the point. Jagra netra dvair madhye, at this point remains the hamsa. This is the seat of the hamsa. Hamsa is there in the entire body, but it has also a seat. You can move everywhere, then you will come to your room. You have a seat. So it has a seat here. This is scientifically also, according to the neuroscience also, the seat for controlling the respiration.
Swami, when we point here, we're referring to actually the center. of the head, right?
Here, when I point here, I am not referring to skin here. I am referring to the point just near palms in brain. The brain stem,
The center of the head.
center of the head. So that is, you need not have to do anything. You need not have to worry. You need not have to imagine that. If you practice, you will feel it. There will be sensation in that part. There will be vibration in that part. That will tell you which is the portion. Not that you have to imagine something. Simply follow your breath. Even you follow your breath here, in nose, as the Buddhists do, that will also take you there, after a period of practice, automatically. Because that is the place. Your breath will show you the route, where you have to go. So that is why, in Hamsa Sadhana, when we do Hamsa Sadhana, we concentrate at Ajna Chakra first. And concentrating at the Ajna Chakra, we inhale long and exhale long, but subtle, in one rhythm. Within the spine. That is Kriya Yoga tradition. Within the spine. Why within the spine? All our consciousness is centered in our brain and spinal column. That is the controlling part in our body. That is why we concentrate on the spinal column, coming up within the spinal column to Ajna Chakra and going down from the spinal column going down from Ajna Chakra within the spinal column. First part we will do that. Suham, actively. You can do that for a long period. You can do that for 2 hours, no doubt. But you can do 24 hours, not. It will automatically slow down. Why it will automatically slow down? Because your body doesn't need more oxygen. Your body is sufficiently alkaline. All the carbon dioxide is removed. And when body is sufficiently alkaline, you don't need more breath. So it will automatically gradually slow down. When it started slow downing, now you start just watching. Don't do further. From a doer, now you become an observer. Even when you do that for a longer period, then your breath will again get feeble. Now, maybe your breath is very feeble, you are not able to feel that. When your outer breath will slow down to a certain extent, you will feel your inner breath in the form of vibration. You can feel in the form of light. You can feel in the form of sound also. But generally it is easier to follow that in the form of vibration. Why we are doing all these things? Instead of remaining hundreds and thousands of thoughts that we are normally staying, we are giving our mind only option to concentrate on breath, walk with the breath. Then when our breath is subtle, walk with the vibration. And finally, when everything will be there, finished, then you are there. That is the pure form of consciousness. In that state of mind, what is your identity? No identification with the body, no identification with ego or mind, no identification with your son, daughter, wife, husband, father, mother, country, anything. Only identification with consciousness. You are a conscious principle. You are knowledge principle. You are bliss principle. No happiness, no suffering, only bliss. You have your own identity. You have your knowledge. That is the practice. That we have to do. We have to, by practice of Hum and Sa, Shiva and Shakti, we have to merge both Hum and Sa. Then what will remain? Ha has gone, Sa has gone. Only Om will remain, the Paramashiva. The transcendental God, which does not have any form. His form is knowledge. His austerities are knowledge. Everything for there is knowledge. Wisdom. Then no more suffering. You find that you are one with all. You and your God are one, no difference. You and your friend are one. You and your enemy are one. Whom you will love and whom you will hate. Everything and every being is one. What will you desire? What will you ask for? That does not mean that you will not eat, you will not walk, you will not work in your office. You will do everything. But you have a knowledge. Now you have a knowledge. Knowledge means you are no more suffering. You know the rule of the law, rule of the nature. There is a day, there is a night. There is pain, there is pleasure. Now you are not disturbed by that. Somebody praises you, now you are not overwhelmed with joy. Because you know, it is you yourself is praising yourself. Suppose somebody praises you, why you are happy? Because it is you yourself who is praising. You want somebody to praise you. You want recognition. That is your desire. It is not that someone is saying some words. Because that is within you. Someone scolds you, even you will watch yourself what it is. You will laugh within yourself what it is, childish. I was doing all these things through years. The thing is that the sufferings in our life will go. That is the problem. Our problem is our suffering. We all are suffering. And we want happiness. We don't want suffering. But with all the development of science, with all the development of philosophical knowledge, we are not able to. For that we need. And this is the very basic fundamental practice. Very basic fundamental practice. There are higher practices because we are not able to cope up with this one. That is why our mind is not satisfied. How with this simple thing it will be done? I can give you complicated breath techniques. As much as complication you want, that is not difficult. No, then it is okay. Thing is that mind has been going in thousands and hundreds of objects. Bringing it into one object is not so easy because we have to decondition it. That is why we give various techniques. Oh, this technique, then mind is tired. No, no, I will not do. Okay, then you do this. Close your ears, listen to the sound. After some time, no, 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 I don't want to this. Okay, you do long and deep breathing like this. After that, no, no, I don't want to this. Okay, you can play with your breath. You can split the breath into 5, into 6. Inhale and then split, exhale. No, 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 I don't want. Okay, then you concentrate at this point. No, no, I am tired of this. You give me something else. Okay, you concentrate here. So that is why in the techniques we give simply variety to our mind. Like a spoiled child, not satisfied with one toy. You have seen, if you have 2, 3 children in your home, more than one, then the naughty one will see that what the other one is playing. Then he will cry, I want that. Then mother will do what? Oh, your elder child, he or she is your younger brother and younger sister, will take it and give to it. Then after 2 or 3 minutes, the naughty one, the younger one will see and which one the elder one is playing. No, no, I want that. I don't want this. He will throw away this. That is the state of our mind. Very childish. Not satisfied with anything. Not satisfied with anything. You say love, what love? Today you love your boyfriend, your girlfriend. Oh, I can't live without you. Then after 1 year you marry. Then after 2nd year you started divorcing. Where is your love? You don't. You are no. It is not possible for me to live. Then how do you live? Then you find another boy, and he find another girl. It is your requirement actually. I am just giving one example. Same example for houses, same example for cars, same example for positions in your workplace, in your society, everything. We want our toy. Changing the toys, changing the toys, changing the toys. Such is the conditioning of our mind. Now with such conditioning of our mind, if we have to decondition it, it is not so easy. That needs consistency, that needs practice. This practice will bring us detachment. Detachment from the objects, detachment from the sense pleasures, detachment from the cravings of minds. Very simple practice. This is the fundamental practice. Just attend to your breath, not to your thoughts. Some people even don't say so or hum, don't mentally chant also so or hum. Just watch the natural sound of the breath. As you are. But we have to give a name. For identification, everything we need a name. So we gave a name also. Someone else has given a name Soham. Someone else has given a name Ajapa Japo. Someone else has given a name Ajapa Gayatri. Someone else has given a name Pranapana Sati. Someone else has given a name Prana Bhikshana. Someone else has given a name Pranapana Smriti. You have to give a name. But we have to understand that the purpose is to merge our mind with our life force. First with inhalation and exhalation, prana and apana. Next with vyanam. But this is only one prana. Different activities of the life force. That is why life force is so powerful. Because it has the power to absorb the mind. It is the father of the mind. I think if anybody wants to have some question, we can go through. We have 10 minutes.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Sometimes you see the H-A-M, hum, spelled H-O-N-G.
It is writing in a different way. In Sanskrit, as nowadays, the writing in international standard of Sanskrit is, for Anusara, you write M and give a dot on it, stop. Okay? So you say hum. Previously, some people were writing hum, H-N-G. So you don't follow that. Simply follow the sound. The sound is with you, within you. Whether it is ma or ng, that you just follow. What is your natural sound?
Thank you.
In Sanskrit, we call it Anusara. Anusara means the sound that follows. The sound that follows. Your breath is going, it is having a sound. The sound that follows. You follow that sound. And this is a practice which has nothing to do with your traditional beliefs. Because we all so much conditioned. Oh, this should be according to my religion, my sect, I follow that. Will it be contradictory to that? Whether you are a Vaishnava or a Saiva or a Shakta or a Muslim or a Christian, you all breathe. Does your breath has differences? That this is Christian breath, this is Muslim breath, this is Hindu breath, this is Buddhist breath. Breath is there everywhere. You have mind, everybody has mind. Now you have to merge your mind with your breath. You may have a personal God. You may not believe in a personal God. You may have some set of religious rituals to practice, and other people may have some another set of rituals to practice. Even there may be contradiction in these practices, but it has nothing to do with your breath. Simply see, sit and watch. When you are that state, you know what it is. Some rishis has reached that state and named that vastness. Vastness means Vishnu. Someone named it Shiva. Why to quarrel with it? If someone else says Allah or God, how does that help me? Or how does that differences in the names create differences in the state? It is a practice which is completely non-sectarian and anyone can do. Along with the traditional belief that he or she is following, because there is no contradiction. You can go to church every day. You can do 5 times namaz, or you can do arati of some god 3 times a day, and simultaneously do this. No contradiction at all. No quarreling, no fight. Because this is something to do with your inner self. Anyone ask to any other question?
I have a question, Swamiji. when you practice the Hamsa sadhana, is it necessary to roll the tongue back to as in Kachari Mudra?
Good if you can. Because if you have to sit longer, it is good to roll back your tongue. Because your throat will not become dry. Otherwise, you may have to keep a bottle like her and time to time. Drink little. Then you disturb your concentration, break your concentration. Keeping tongue rolled up helps. But if you don't keep up, okay. If you don't have a practice, you can do like this without even rolling up tongue. But if you can do it, is good. Sending back the thoughts. Tongue is the organ of speech. Final expression of thoughts is through the tongue. Now keeping it back means you are sending it back. No. Prana is also called khechari. One of the name of prana is also khechari. Kha means ether. Chara means to move. That which moves in the ether. The energy principally moves in the ether. So when you say khechari, it has different meanings. It is not simply this mudra. Prana is also called khechari. Sounds are also called khechari. Matrikas are also called khechari. This is a good practice. If you can do good. Okay. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om